Bar Mitzvah and Bat Mitzvah are Jewish coming-of-age rituals. Bar is a Jewish Babylonian Aramaic word literally meaning son, while Bat means daughter in Hebrew, and Mitzvah is a commandment and a law. While this literally translates to son of commandment, or daughter of commandment, the rabbinical phrase bar means under the category of, or subject to. Bar Mitzvah therefore translates to an agent who is subject to the law. Although commonly used to refer to the event itself, in fact the phrase actually refers to the person. According to Jewish law, when Jewish boys become 13 years old, they become accountable for their actions and become a bar mitzvah. A girl becomes a bat mitzvah at the age of 12 according to Orthodox and Conservative Jews, and at the age of 13 according to Reform Jews. Prior to reaching bar mitzvah, the child's parents hold the responsibility for the child's actions. After this age, the boys and girls bear their own responsibility for Jewish ritual law, tradition, and ethics, and are able to participate in all areas of Jewish community life. Traditionally, the father of the bar mitzvah gives thanks to God that he is no longer punished for the child's sins. In addition to being considered accountable for their actions from a religious perspective, bnei mitzvah may be counted towards a minyan and may lead prayer and other religious services in the family and the community. Bar mitzvah is mentioned in the Mishnah, and in the Talmud. In some classic sources, the age of 13 appears for instance as the age from which males must fast on the Day of Atonement, while females fast from the age of 12. In the late Middle Ages this was systematized in Europe into a general rule as to when a young person was obligated to observe the mitzvot. The age of bnei mitzvah roughly coincides with physical puberty. The bar or bat mitzvah ceremony is usually held on the first Shabbat after a boy's 13th and a girl's 12th birthday. Significance: reaching the age of bar or bat mitzvah signifies becoming a full-fledged member of the Jewish community with the responsibilities that come with it. These include moral responsibility for own actions, eligibility to be called to read from the Torah and lead or participate in a minyan, may possess personal property, may be legally married according to Jewish law, must follow the 613 laws of the Torah and keep the halakha, may testify as a witness in a Beth Din case. Many congregations require pre-bar mitzvah children to attend a minimum number of Shabbat prayer services at the synagogue, study at a Hebrew school, take on a charity or community service project, and maintain membership in good standing with the synagogue. In addition to study and preparation offered through the synagogue and Hebrew schools, bar mitzvah tutors may be hired to prepare the child through the study of Hebrew, Torah cantillation and basic Jewish concepts. Aliyah to the Torah, the widespread practice is that on a Sabbath early in his 13th year, a boy is called up to read from the weekly portion of the law either as one of the first 7 men or as the last, in which case he will read the closing verses and the Haftorah. And if he is unable to read, to recite at least the benediction before and after the reading. He may also give it the Torah and or lead part or all of the prayer services. In Orthodox circles, the occasion is sometimes celebrated during a weekday service that includes reading from the Torah, such as a Monday or Thursday morning service, in which case the bar mitzvah will also lay tefillin for the first time. Some communities or families may delay the celebration for reasons such as availability of a Shabbat during which no other celebration has been scheduled, or due to the desire to permit family to travel to the event. However, this does not delay the onset of rights and responsibilities of being a Jewish adult which comes about strictly by virtue of age. Tefillin: the custom of laying tefillin begins when a boy reaches bar mitzvah age. In some Orthodox circles, however, the custom is for the bar mitzvah boy to begin putting on tefillin 1 to 3 months before his bar mitzvah. This way, by the time he is obligated in the commandment, he will already know how to fulfill it properly. Bar and bat mitzvah parties: bnei mitzvah festivities typically include a seudat mitzvah, a celebratory meal with family, friends, and members of the community. Others may celebrate in different ways such as taking the bar or bat mitzvah on a special trip or organizing some special event in the celebrant's honor. In many communities, the celebrant is given a certificate. According to the Orthodox view, the bar mitzvah boy is so happy to be commanded to do mitzvah and earn reward in the next world for his efforts, that he throws a party and has a festive meal. Bar and bat mitzvah parties in America are often lavish affairs held at hotels and country clubs with hundreds of guests. The trend has been mocked, most notably in the movie Keeping Up with the Steins. Rabbi Shimli Butich says that over-the-top bar mitzvah parties were already common when he was growing up in Miami in the 1970s. Bat mitzvah customs. Today many non-Orthodox Jews celebrate a girl's bat mitzvah in the same way as a boy's bar mitzvah. All Reform and Reconstructionist, and most conservative synagogues have egalitarian participation, in which women read from the Torah and lead services. The majority of Orthodox and some conservative Jews reject the idea that a woman can publicly read from the Torah or lead prayer services whenever there is a minyan available to do so. However, the public celebration of a girl becoming bat mitzvah in other ways has made strong inroads into modern Orthodox Judaism and also into some elements of Haredi Judaism. In these congregations, women do not read from the Torah or lead prayer services, but they occasionally lecture on a Jewish topic to mark their coming of age, learn a book of Tanakh, recite verses from the Book of Esther or the Book of Psalms, or say prayers from the Siddur. In some modern Orthodox circles, bat mitzvah girls will read from the Torah and lead prayer services in a women's tefillah. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, a prominent Orthodox posek, has ruled that bat mitzvah celebrations are allowable and should not be construed as imitating non-Jewish customs. However, they do not have the status of Seudat mitzvah. Rabbi Ovadia Yosef holds that it is a Seudat mitzvah. The event is celebrated by joyous festivity, the bat mitzvah girl delivering on this occasion a learned discourse or oration at the table before the invited guests, who offer her presents, while the rabbi or teacher gives her blessing, accompanying it at times with an address. There were occasional attempts to recognize a girl's coming of age in Eastern Europe in the 19th and 20th centuries, the former in Warsaw and the latter in Lemberg. The occasion was marked by a party without any ritual in the synagogue. According to the archivist at the Great Synagogue in Rome, the custom of a young woman being called up in synagogue before the entire community dates back to the early years of the Roman Jewish community approximately 2,300 years ago. The community recognized her as being of age, and acknowledged her in a public fashion. This would support more modern documents that record an Orthodox Jewish Italian rite for becoming bat mitzvahs since the mid-19th century. There were also bat mitzvahs held in the 19th century in Iraq. All this may have influenced the American Rabbi Mordecai M. Kaplan, who held the first public celebration of a bat mitzvah in the United States, for his daughter Judith, on March 18, 1922, at the Society for the Advancement of Judaism, his synagogue in New York City. Judith Kaplan recited the preliminary blessing, read a portion of that week's Torah portion in Hebrew and English, and then intoned the closing blessing. Kaplan, who at the time claimed to be an Orthodox rabbi, joined conservative Judaism and then became the founder of Reconstructionist Judaism, influenced Jews from all branches of non-Orthodox Judaism, through his position at the Jewish Theological Seminary of America. At the time, most Orthodox rabbis strongly rejected the idea of a bat mitzvah ceremony. As the ceremony became accepted for females as well as males, many women chose to celebrate the ceremony even though they were much older, as a way of formalizing and celebrating their place in the adult Jewish community. Alternative ceremonies. Instead of reading from the Torah, some humanist Jews prefer a research paper on a topic in Jewish history to mark their coming of age. Secular Jewish Sunday schools and communities including those affiliated with the Congress of Secular Jewish Organizations and the Abiata Ringa encourage the youngsters to select any topic that interests them and relates to the Jewish part of their identities. The kibbutz movement in Israel also encouraged the celebration of the bar mitzvah. All those coming of age in the community for that year would take on a project and research in a topic of Jewish or Zionist interest. Today many kibbutz children are opting for a more traditional bar mitzvah celebration. Among some Jews, a man who has reached the age of 83 will customarily celebrate a second bar mitzvah, under the logic that in the Torah it says that a normal lifespan is 70 years, so that an 83-year-old can be considered 13 in a second lifetime. This practice has become increasingly uncommon. A bar mitzvah is a pseudo-traditional observance and celebration of a dog's coming of age, as in the Jewish traditional bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. The term has been in use since at least as early as 1997, and bar mitzvahs are sometimes held as an adjunct to the festival of Purim. Gifts. Bar or bat mitzvah celebrations have become an occasion to give the celebrant a commemorative gift. Traditionally, common gifts include books with religious or educational value, religious items, writing implements, savings bonds, gift certificates, or money. Gifts of cash have become commonplace in recent times. As with charity and all other gifts, it has become common to give in multiples of 18, since the gematria, or numerical equivalent of the Hebrew word for life is the number 18. Monetary gifts in multiples of 18 are considered to be particularly auspicious and have become very common for bar and bat mitzvahs. Many bar and bat mitzvahs also receive their first talit from their parents to be used for the occasion and fill in where this is appropriate. Jewelry is a common gift for girls at a bat mitzvah celebration. Another gift for the bat mitzvah girl are Shabbat candlesticks because it is the duty and honor of the woman to light the candles. History. The modern method of celebrating becoming a bar mitzvah did not exist in the time of the Hebrew Bible, Mishnah or Talmud. Passages in the books of Exodus and Numbers note the age of majority for army service as 20. The term bar mitzvah appears first in the Talmud, the codification of the Jewish oral Torah compiled in the early first millennium of the Common Era, to connote an agent who is subject to the law, and the age of 13 is also mentioned in the Mishnah as the time one is obligated to observe the Torah's commandments. At 5 years old a person should study the scriptures, at 10 years for the Mishnah, at 13 for the commandments. The Talmud gives 13 as the age at which a boy's vows are legally binding, and states that this is a result of his being a man, as required in Numbers 6:2. The term bar mitzvah, in the sense it is now used, cannot be clearly traced earlier than the 14th century, the older rabbinical term being gadol, or bar onchin. Many sources indicate that the ceremonial observation of a bar mitzvah developed in the Middle Ages. However, there are extensive earlier references to 13 as the age of majority with respect to following the commandments of the Torah, as well as Talmudic references to observing this rite of passage with a religious ceremony, including Samuel Hakatan, at the close of the 1st century, in the Baraita attached to Act v. 21 the completion of the 13th year as the age for the commandments. And the commentary to the passage refers to Levi, the son of Jacob, who, at 13, is called Ish. Simon Zemch Duran, in his Magenapt to the Baraita, quotes a midrash interpreting the Hebrew word in Isa. XLIII. 21 Euro This people have I formed for myself, they shall pronounce, AV. Set forth my praise. Euro was referring by its numerical value to those that have reached the age of 13. This seems to imply that, at the time of the composition of the Midrash the Bar Mitzvah publicly pronounced a benediction on the occasion of his entrance upon maturity. The Midrash Hashkem, the heathen when he begets a son consecrates him to idolatrous practices. The Israelite has his son circumcised in the rite of Pidyon Harban performed. And as soon as he becomes of age he brings him into the synagogue and school in order that he may praise the name of God, reciting the Brachia preceding the reading from the law. Masechet Sifrim Xviii. 5 makes matters even more explicit. In Jerusalem they are accustomed to initiate their children to fast on the Day of Atonement, a year or two before their maturity. And then, when the age has arrived, to bring the bar mitzvah before the priest or elder for blessing, encouragement, and prayer, that he may be granted a portion in the law and in the doing of good works. Whosoever is of superiority in the town is expected to pray for him as he bows down to him to receive his blessing. The Midrash, which, in commenting upon the passage, and the boys grew, says, up to 13 years Esau and Jacob went together to the primary school and back home. After the 13 years were over, the one went to the Beit HaMidrash for the study of the law, the other to the house of idols. With reference to this, Rabbi Elazar remarks, until the 13th year it is the father's duty to train his boy. After this he must say, Blessed be he who has taken from me the responsibility, the punishment for this boy. Why is the evil desire personified as the great king? Because it is 13 years older than the good desire. That is to say, the latter comes only with the initiation into duty. According to Pirkerlxxvi, Abraham rejected the idolatry of his father and became a worshipper of God when he was 13 years old. It is a mitzvah for a person to make a meal on the day his son becomes bar mitzvah as on the day he enters the wedding canopy. In adults, while the traditional age to hold a bar or bat mitzvah is 13, some adults choose to have bar or bat mitzvahs at an older age, some of whom had them as children and some who did not have them as children. Since the 1970s, the adult bar and bat mitzvah have been growing in popularity. Bar and bat barakah, bar bat barakah means, in Aramaic, son-daughter of the blessing. In honor and recognition of Jewish traditions, including Ziv Tabat and bar and bat mitzvah, some Christians have begun to conduct a bar and bat barakah ceremony to pronounce blessings upon their children. See also: confirmation, rite of passage, references. Further reading: Goldberg, Harvey E. Rites of Passage, Jewish Rites. Encyclopedia of Religion. Ed. Lindsay Jones. 2nd ed. Volume 11. Detroit, Macmillan Reference USA, 2005 ppA 7818 a €7824. Gale Virtual Reference Library. Hilton, Michael. Bar Mitzvah, A History. University of Nebraska Press, 2014. Kaplan, Zvi, and Norma Baumel Joseph. Bar Mitzvah, Bat Mitzvah. Encyclopedia Judaica. Ed. Michael Barenbaum and Fred Skolnick 2nd ed. Volume 3. Detroit, Macmillan Reference USA, 2007 ppA 164 a €167. Gale Virtual Reference Library. Oppenheimer, Mark. 13 and a Day, The Bar and Bat Mitzvah Across America. New York, Farrar, Straus, and Giroux, 2005. External links: Bar Mitzvah, Everything You Need to Do It Right, Shos, Hayim. History of Bar Mitzvah, Bat Mitzvah, and Confirmation.